Have you ever caught yourself repeating the same small habits every day, not realizing that some of them might be stealing your peace, your purpose, and your happiness? As the years pass, life can slowly turn into a collection of routines. We get used to the same chairs, the same meals, the same thoughts, and before we know it, the world feels smaller, quieter, and lonelier. But here's something most people don't realize: it's not time that makes us miserable, it's the habits we let grow unnoticed. Today, I want to share 4 of the most common, and dangerous, mistakes older adults make, often without realizing it. Mistakes that can quietly drain your energy, your joy, and your sense of belonging. The good news? Once you see them clearly, you can change everything. Let's begin. Mistake number 1, letting meaningful connections fade away. This is one of the saddest, and most common, traps in later life. At first, it seems harmless. Maybe you start skipping family gatherings because they're tiring. Maybe you don't call that old friend because you think they're probably busy. Or maybe you convince yourself that being alone is simply part of getting old. Weeks pass. Then months. And slowly, without realizing it, your world starts to shrink. We often tell ourselves it's normal, kids move on, friends drift apart. But the truth is, we need connection just as much at 80 as we did at 20. Let me tell you about Frank, a retired schoolteacher in his late 70s. After his wife passed away, he spent most of his days tinkering around the house. He told himself he was fine, reading, fixing little things, watching the news. But deep down, something was missing. He stopped answering calls. Stopped reaching out. He thought, if people want to see me, they'll call. But they didn't. One day, his neighbor invited him to a small breakfast group of local retirees. Frank didn't want to go, but he went anyway, just once. That one breakfast turned into a weekly ritual. He started laughing again, telling stories again, feeling alive again. The mistake wasn't in losing his wife, it was in letting loneliness become his new normal. Here's the truth: isolation isn't a natural part of aging. It's a silent disease that eats away at health and happiness. Research shows that loneliness can increase the risk of heart disease, memory loss, and even shorten your lifespan. So don't wait for someone else to reach out. Call first. Send the message. Go for coffee. Connection doesn't happen by accident, it happens by intention. Mistake number 2, ignoring your physical and mental health. The second mistake is more subtle, and often disguised as taking it easy. Maybe you stop going for walks because of stiff knees. Maybe you delay a doctor visit because you're too busy. Or maybe you just accept pain, forgetfulness, or sadness as normal aging. But neglect is not rest, it's slow surrender. When we stop caring for our bodies and minds, life begins to shrink in ways that are easy to miss. You lose energy. You sleep poorly. You stop doing the things that once brought joy. The problem isn't aging, the problem is stopping. Let me tell you about Martha, a bright woman in her early 80s. She had always been active, walking every morning, playing bridge with her friends. But after retirement, she began sleeping in later and skipping her walks. She felt down, unmotivated, and blamed it on age. It wasn't until her daughter convinced her to visit her doctor that things started to change. A few small adjustments, gentle exercise, talking to a counselor, a bit of sunlight every morning, and Martha came back to life. Her laughter returned. Her energy returned. Her confidence returned. The lesson: your health doesn't have an expiration date. Movement keeps your mind sharp. Checkups catch problems early. Talking about your emotions keeps your heart light. Don't fall for the lie that it's too late. Even a 10-minute walk, a healthy breakfast, or an honest conversation can reignite your vitality. Your body is still your home, treat it with care. Mistake number 3, living in the past, regret and resentment. This mistake is invisible, but deadly. You can't see it in the mirror, but you can feel it in your heart. It's the weight of, if only. If only I had forgiven him. If only I'd said something sooner. If only I'd made a different choice. Regret is heavy, and resentment even heavier. They steal joy from the present and make every tomorrow feel smaller. Edward, an 82-year-old gentleman, carried such a weight for decades. He and his brother had fought over money years ago and hadn't spoken since. Every holiday, every birthday, he replayed the same angry story in his head. The longer he held on, the lonelier he became. One day, he wrote a simple letter. No apology. No argument. Just 5 words, I miss the good times. He didn't expect forgiveness, but what he found was peace. Even before his brother replied, Edward felt free, lighter, happier, and more open to life again. Here's what most people don't realize. Forgiveness isn't something you do for someone else. It's something you do for yourself. When you release old pain, you make room for joy. Regret changes nothing. Acceptance changes everything. You can't relive yesterday, but you can reclaim today. Mistake number 4, refusing to adapt to change. The world moves fast, sometimes too fast. Technology, medicine, family structures, everything looks different from what it did 30 years ago. And for many older adults, this change feels overwhelming. So they resist. I don't need all that computer nonsense. I liked things better in my day. I'll just do it my way. But here's the truth, refusing to change doesn't protect you, it isolates you. Helen, a cheerful woman in her late 70s, used to say, I'll never touch a computer. Because of that, she missed out on emails, video calls, and photos from her grandchildren. She didn't realize how much she was missing until her daughter spent a few afternoons teaching her. Once Helen learned how to use her tablet, her whole world expanded. She started messaging friends, ordering groceries online, and even learning to paint from YouTube tutorials. She told her daughter, "It feels like the world came back to me." That's the power of adaptability. Change is scary, but curiosity keeps you young. Every time you learn something new, your brain grows stronger, and your spirit feels more alive. Whether it's technology, relationships, or even the way you take care of your health, being open to change keeps life exciting and full of possibilities. So, let's take a breath and look back. Which of these mistakes feels familiar to you? Have you let your social circle fade? Have you ignored your body's quiet warnings? Are you still replaying old regrets? Or have you closed yourself off from the new? If even one of these sounds like you, don't be discouraged. Awareness is the first step to transformation. Because here's something powerful to remember, it's never too late to begin again. You can pick up the phone today and reconnect with someone. You can take a short walk and feel your lungs fill with energy. You can choose to forgive. You can learn something new. Happiness in later life doesn't come from what you've lost, it comes from what you still choose to do. No matter your age, you still have the power to shape your days with love, curiosity, and gratitude. So, start small. Smile more. Move often. Forgive freely. Stay curious. Because a joyful life isn't found, it's built, one wise choice at a time.